Well, St. Paul native Vince Flynn has released another book, a new book.
He's prolific, isn't he? Flynn's thrillers center around counterterrorism operative Mitch Rapp as his character. Now, Flynn's newest book, here it is, entitled Extreme Measures. It follows Rapp and his colleagues as they try to stop a terrorist cell. Vince Flynn is with us this morning to discuss his new book as well as his roots here in St. Paul. We're so proud of having a local author with such wonderful success. Extreme Measures, you know, just reading through this, just got started on it, but I can't help but notice how it kind of parallels what's happening in the government today and the world today.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily
Did you set
intend
out?
it to be
You
that
didn't.
way. What I tried to do with this book was I wanted to show my readers a side that I haven't shown before, which is the families of these people. You know, after 9/11, we sent all these men and women off to go fight for us. And in the military, we think of them, but we don't think of the men and women at the CIA and other clandestine organizations and how this has affected their families. I've gotten to know some people, and their kids have gotten in trouble because dad's away or mom's away, and families that have fallen apart. And so I wanted to show that and draw the parallels to what's going on in Washington with the, you know, senators and congressmen always worrying more about themselves, their ego, their party, and less about our national security.
I want to ask you about this, Vince. You know, you yourself have made note that you weren't the greatest student. You had trouble with reading and writing. How do you become such a great writer having trouble as a kid?
You know, looking back at it now, I say to myself, after 10 books, a lot of people overthink it. It's not, writing isn't easy, but you just have to tell a good story. And I find that a lot of aspiring writers will rewrite too many times. I tend to rewrite everything about 3 times and leave it alone. Beyond that, you keep chipping at that piece of stone, and sooner or later you're not going to end up with anything that looks like a human being. It's just going to fall apart.
Now, you've got some interesting news to share with us because CBS Films has the rights to Mitch Rapp, and there's some news to tell folks
they
about
bought the franchise,
oncoming film.
and Lorenzo de Bonaventura and Nick Wexler, who've done some great movies, are signed on to produce, and the guy who wrote the screenplay I'm supposed to see the screenplay in 2 weeks.
You're going to be out in Hollywood?
Well, I'll get it here, I'll look at it, then I'll go out there and we'll sit down and we'll negotiate, you know, how I always say how much they're going to water down Mitch Rapp.
Who's going to play Mitch Rapp?
We don't know yet.
Don't know yet, okay.
There's some rumors, but I can't share those.
I can't help but think about the access that you get. I mean, you can't write about jihadism and about the turmoil in the Middle East without actually having some pretty good insight. You must get pretty good access to CIA.
You know, I do, and I think one of the reasons why is I've always been kind of a staunch advocate for the men and women in the clandestine services, because once you get to know them, you realize they're just like your other neighbor who drives the minivan and has kids going to soccer, but their job is so much more serious than ours. They're not these villains that Hollywood likes to portray them to be. So I tend to support them, and you know, we're so sick of these political commercials right now. Yeah. The politicians get a lot of heat in my books.
Oh, we're really excited to have you here, and as I started reading this, Angela says, I get that as soon as you're done. I get to read this book as soon as you're done.
I think we could probably find you another copy.
Maybe so. Well, Vince, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Always
Best
a pleasure.
of luck. Looking forward to the film, too, when it comes out.
Appreciate it.
Vince has 2 book signings in the Twin Cities this week. Tonight, he's going to sign copies of his new book, Extreme Measures, at Borders Bookstore in Woodbury. That starts at 7 o'clock. Then on Saturday, he'll be at Costco in St. Louis Park. That book signing begins at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We've got all the information on Vince's new book, Extreme Measures, online. Just go to WCCO.com/links to learn about all 10 of Vince's books. What a prolific writer.
Awesome. And I'm sitting here. I mean, Vince thinks I'm kidding. I'm like, I really do want a part in that movie. I want to be the reporter at the crime scene.
You'd be perfect.
It has that 3-second cameo.
And you're going to say what? What are you going to say?
No one was hurt. Back to you.